There comes a moment in every human life when the familiar geometry of reality starts to bend. The streets are the same, the faces are the same, the daily rituals march on, yet something invisible has shifted. The air feels heavier, the silence more intelligent, as if existence itself is watching you back. You can't explain it. You just know that the world you once inhabited no longer fits the shape of who you're becoming. This isn't depression, though it might wear its mask. It isn't failure, though everything safe begins to fall apart. What you are witnessing is the universe pulling your awareness inward, the beginning of an ancient process written into the fabric of consciousness itself. Modern neuroscience calls it neural reconstruction. Quantum physics might call it a phase transition. Mystics call it awakening. All three point to the same phenomenon: the collapse of an outdated pattern and the birth of a higher order of intelligence within you. At first, it feels like loss. The goals that once motivated you suddenly dissolve into abstraction. Relationships that once felt solid begin to feel performative. Even your own ambitions sound like echoes from a stranger's dream. Yet beneath this unraveling, a new vibration begins to hum, subtle, almost imperceptible, the call of the authentic self. Every culture has its myth of descent. Inanna entering the underworld, Christ in the tomb, the hero swallowed by the whale. These aren't stories of defeat, they are blueprints of transformation. To awaken is to descend into the unknown so completely that only truth remains. Science reveals the same pattern in matter. A star cannot ignite until gravitational collapse forces its atoms into fusion. Pressure creates light. The same law governs consciousness. When your old identity implodes under the weight of meaninglessness, it isn't the end of purpose, it's the beginning of luminosity. But society has trained us to fear collapse. We patch cracks with distractions, numbness, busyness. We call it productivity, but it's really avoidance. The soul speaks in silence, and we drown it with noise. Have you noticed that life sends its messages in whispers before it screams? A restless night, a sudden tear during an ordinary conversation, a phrase that lingers longer than it should. These are not coincidences, they are coordinates. The universe doesn't shout, it synchronizes. Synchronicity isn't mystical coincidence. It is the physics of consciousness, the alignment between your internal frequency and the events around you. When thought, emotion, and environment resonate, meaning becomes tangible. It's not that the universe starts helping you. It's that you finally stop resisting the current already carrying you. Imagine consciousness as an ocean. The ego is a single wave, proud of its form, terrified of disappearing. But the moment it surrenders its shape, it realizes it was never separate from the sea. Awakening is that moment of surrender, the death of the wave, the birth of the oceanic self. This realization often begins with suffering. Pain, after all, is evolution's most honest teacher. Neuroscientists observe that in moments of deep emotional crisis, the brain undergoes radical rewiring. Old pathways linked to defense and identity begin to dissolve, allowing dormant circuits of empathy, creativity, and awareness to awaken. In other words, heartbreak is neurogenesis for the soul. Suffering isn't punishment, it's preparation. It strips you of illusions so you can carry more truth. Every tear you shed is a solvent dissolving outdated architecture. If you look closely, each sorrow has shaped your compassion, each loss has refined your perception, each fall has trained you in surrender. The caterpillar doesn't transform because it hates its form. It transforms because the form can no longer contain what's growing inside. Within the cocoon, it liquefies completely, identity erased, boundaries gone, until only the genetic memory of flight remains. Humans are no different. Crisis melts the mask so essence can reorganize. Perhaps you are in that cocoon now, uncertain, unrecognizable to yourself, terrified that nothing will emerge. But evolution never abandons its own. The same intelligence that turns DNA into galaxies is sculpting you through uncertainty. Trust that process more than the fear that resists it. When you stop running from pain and start listening to it, you discover that suffering has syntax. Every ache contains information. Where you abandoned yourself, where you compromised truth for approval, where you mistook comfort for peace. Pain points to the exact coordinates of rebirth. And yet, awakening isn't only personal. Humanity itself is in this metamorphosis. Our civilization, saturated with noise and convenience, is hearing the crack of its own shell. We sense it in the collective anxiety, the digital fatigue, the hunger for authenticity. It isn't collapse, it's incubation. Consciousness is reorganizing at scale. If you zoom out far enough, even chaos reveals pattern. Galaxies spin by invisible mathematics. Neurons fire by quantum probability. Storms obey thermodynamic law. Why would your life be any different? Beneath disorder, there is always choreography. The challenge is learning to see the rhythm instead of the rubble. So when everything falls apart, pause before you label it tragedy. Ask instead, what if this is the universe recalibrating me toward coherence? What if losing direction is the only way to discover alignment? Every genuine awakening begins not with answers, but with awe, the willingness to stand before mystery without demanding that it justify itself. Awe reactivates the intelligence of the heart, the organ that perceives unity before the mind divides it. The heart is not poetic metaphor. It's an electromagnetic field 20 times stronger than the brain S. It literally synchronizes your body with the frequencies around you. To live from the heart is to rejoin the universal rhythm. And in that rhythm, life stops being a series of problems to solve and becomes a conversation to participate in. The trees, the light, the coincidences, the strangers who speak at perfect moments are all extensions of one dialogue, consciousness speaking to itself through infinite disguises. So the next time you feel lost, remember, you are not outside of the universe trying to find your way in. You are the universe finding its way back to awareness through you. After the storm of dissolution comes the stillness of integration. You begin to notice details again, the sound of footsteps on pavement, the pulse in your wrist, the way sunlight bends through dust. Ordinary moments become gateways. Presence no longer feels like effort, it feels like home. But the ego is clever. It wants to turn awakening into achievement. It whispers, now you must stay enlightened, maintain the state, brand it, monetize it. Yet the truth is quieter. Enlightenment isn't a permanent high, it's the absence of resistance. It's living without needing to become someone else. This stage is subtle. You're no longer chasing transcendence. You're practicing embodiment, translating insight into daily life. How do you speak truth without superiority? How do you live freedom inside limitation? These questions don't have answers, they have practice. Modern physics reminds us that observation shapes reality. Every choice you make collapses infinite possibilities into one experience timeline. The observer isn't passive, it's participatory. In spiritual language, that means responsibility. Each thought is a vote for the world you want to inhabit. Responsibility here doesn't mean blame, it means authorship. No savior is coming because the author has returned to the page. You, the same consciousness that writes galaxies into being, is writing through your nervous system, exploring what it feels like to create deliberately. When you realize this, you stop waiting for miracles and become the mechanism through which miracles occur. Intention focuses energy, attention sustains it, gratitude amplifies it. The formula isn't mystical, it's physics of coherence. As this understanding deepens, fear begins to lose authority. Not because life becomes easy, but because you no longer confuse discomfort with danger. The unknown stops being an enemy and becomes a frontier. You stop defending identity and start discovering reality. Freedom, you learn, is not the absence of boundaries, but the alignment within them. A bird is not less free because it flies within gravity. It's free because it understands how to use it. The awakened mind doesn't escape matter, it collaborates with it. There's a story told among physicists. When they split a particle, its halves remain connected no matter the distance. Change one, the other responds instantly. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Spirituality calls it unity. Both are describing the same truth. Separation is an optical illusion maintained by perspective. Everything, everywhere, is entangled in the same luminous field. This isn't theory, it's daily experience once perception clears. The smile you offer a stranger ripples into unseen dimensions. The forgiveness you choose rewires generations of resentment. The kindness you extend to yourself radiates measurable coherence into the collective. You are a fractal of the cosmic equation, influencing the whole by existing authentically. Eventually, the search itself dissolves. You stop asking, "How do I become awakened?" and begin asking, "How can I serve what's already awake within everything?" You realize life was never about self-improvement but self-recognition. The flower doesn't strain to bloom. It simply stops resisting sunlight. So breathe. You are sunlight condensed into biology, stardust organized into awareness. The intelligence that birthed galaxies is looking through your eyes. What greater miracle are you waiting for? Integration means returning to simplicity, drinking water with reverence, listening more than speaking, creating without needing applause, loving without possession. In this simplicity lies sacred sophistication, the recognition that existence doesn't need embellishment to be divine. When the mind and soul finally synchronize, even silence becomes articulate. You begin to feel guidance not as words, but as resonance, a subtle gravitational pull toward what is right, effortless, true. You start trusting that pull more than external logic, and remarkably, life begins to arrange itself around your honesty. This is what ancient mystics called surrender, not as defeat but as alignment. The river doesn't surrender to the ocean in shame. It fulfills its purpose by returning home. So too does the individual consciousness when it merges with the greater field of being. The drop realizes it was the ocean all along. And from that realization, compassion is born. You see everyone as fragments of the same learning process, each soul playing its role in the grand laboratory of consciousness. Judgment dissolves into understanding. Even pain becomes sacred because it is the pressure through which wisdom crystallizes. Eventually, you see that awakening isn't a destination but a rhythm, expansion, contraction, stillness, then expansion again. The cosmos breathes through you. Every inhale draws you deeper into matter. Every exhale dissolves you back into light. Life, death, rebirth, moment by moment. Perhaps this video didn't appear by accident. Perhaps the field of consciousness, calculating infinite probabilities, knew exactly when your attention would be ready to hear this resonance. Synchronicity isn't magic, it's mathematics performed by love. So if you are listening now, it means the equation has balanced. You are ready, ready to stop searching and start remembering, ready to stop surviving and start participating, ready to stop asking the universe for signs and start being one. Because the ultimate truth is simple. Consciousness didn't place you in the universe. It placed the universe inside you. Every atom of your body hums with that infinite intelligence. Every moment is the universe realizing itself through your awareness. When you truly see this, gratitude is no longer something you practice. It's what you are. You breathe and existence breathes with you. You walk and the ground celebrates your steps. You speak and the cosmos echoes back in synchronicity. You don't need to become light. You already are. The task was never to awaken, only to remember.